What is going on, guys? Today we are going to be talking about the LEC Summer Split 2020, and I'm going to be giving you guys a rundown on who I think is going to be at the top of the standings and who I think is going to be at the bottom of the standings. Now, I'm going to make this one a little bit quicker than my LCS video. That's because kind of the ins and outs of the LEC are a little less convoluted than that of the LCS, so let's get right into it. First, we have this group of 30 teams. Now, you know what? I'm going to even go ahead and do that. G2 Esports, fantastic team. They're going to make it to Worlds. From here on out, I'm going to talk about Worlds as if it's going to happen because we haven't received news that it's not going to happen. So when I say Worlds, let's just assume it happens. Now, G2 Esports, they're going to perform. They're going to do what they always do. Like Peter Dunn said on the Crackdown with I Will Dominate and Thorin. A very good podcast. You guys should listen to it. He's the head team manager / coach for Mad Lions, and pretty interesting podcast. But he said, you can't go against G2 with a 2-page playbook. G2 has a 20-page playbook, and you have to at least have 10 pages. G2 knows how to do everything in a game. They're micro, they're macro, every single thing fantastic. They should win the split easily. Now we have a second tier of Fnatic and Origen. Fnatic is right there with G2. They're so close. At this point, I pretty much just believe Fnatic has a mental boom problem with G2. They're so close in competitiveness. They're just not quite there. And we saw in the finals of spring, not Broxa, well, he's gone. Bwipo, he ran it down. He sprinted it. He really screwed it up for the team, but he was trying to make the plays that you have to make to beat G2. You can't be risk averse when you're playing G2. You got to take those risks, and he was trying to do that. Fnatic is a really good team. They're easy shoo-in to go to Worlds, as well as, I think, Origen. You know, Origen is a somewhat sleeper team. They play a really slow style. Not necessarily LCK risk-averse-esque, but they take their time. They're going to beat you in 35 minutes. That's how they do it. They're going to beat every single team under them. They're going to take their time. They need to learn a little bit more to compete with G2 and Fnatic, but at the same time, they're really good at their style, and they can really give G2 and Fnatic a run. I mean, people forget about it, but like Frostgurn was talking about on Euphoria, Origen got pretty much cucked by the fact that Mad Lions pulled an upset on G2 in the very first round of the playoffs, and then they had to play G2. If they play Mad Lions there, I think a lot of people would agree that Origen would probably beat Mad Lions and then have to go up against Fnatic. It's an unlucky situation for them. In that playoffs, they did take on Fnatic and, you know, it was 3-1, very close to taking to a 5-game series. In Fnatic, second best team in the league. I think they're a pretty decent team and shoe in for third place, if not possibly an upset for second place. Now we go to the next tier down, and you might be surprised that I have Misfits ahead of Mad Lions. The main thing here is what most people talk about, but honestly, it's true. Arome in the top lane for Mad Lions is an absolute liability on a team full of rookies except for Humanoid. He hasn't pulled his weight like Carzzy does in the bot lane, and Shadow does as a huge playmaker in the jungle. He hasn't pulled his weight, and honestly, it's a huge glaring error. That's why I don't think they would have beat Origen in the playoffs if they faced them. Alfari, honestly, the best top laner in the LEC would have wiped the floor with Arome. And honestly, I think when it comes to Misfits, I think they're going to be able to do the same thing against Mad Lions. I think Arome is a huge liability. And like I talked about in my LCS video, the mid-jungle synergy and top side of the map, Rift Herald, pretty much includes the top lane. And when your top lane struggles so much, especially they can't play weak side, you're going to lose. There's going to be games that you're going to lose against the top teams. And I think they're going to struggle to split. I don't think they're going to continue improving as much as they did in the spring split. And talking about Misfits and why they're going to be ahead, Kabi is a great new addition to Misfits. He came over from TSM, Talent Suppression Machine. I think Doublelift is immune to the Talent Suppression Machine over there in NA, but in general, they shut your shit down. UC's Sven, absolute beast of an AD carry, beasting on C9, wasn't very good on TSM, but when he was in Europe on G2, best bot lane in the West, TSM kind of ruins people. regardless. When you have Kabe with Fabivin, you have Razork in the jungle, I think you have a pretty good team composition. B-Voy was a decent AD carry on Misfits, and they were a middle-of-the-pack team that were rivaling with Rogue and Schalke and everyone else. But his inability to properly communicate in English was obviously a huge problem for them. Now having Kabe come back, a veteran, I was going to say EULCS, the LEC veteran. He knows what's going on over here. He's a great AD carry, and he should have a bounce-back year or split, much like everyone who leaves TSM does. Now, we go to Rogue. I put them in their own little category, honestly, because I think they're far and above better than Schalke, Excel, Team Vitality, and SK Gaming. They're just better. They have good players. Larson is a beast. Inspired is pretty good. They might have a chance to compete against Mad Lions and Misfits in this little group. They might join in right here. They will go to playoffs, but they're just not part of the top team. But at the same time, they have a decent teamwork and decent players. They will be able to beat the bottom half teams. So you should see them right in the middle. Schalke, I was pleasantly surprised, if not complacently averaged. That doesn't make sense. In Axe, their AD carry, did pretty average. He came in, replaced Forgiven, who caused a shitstorm on their team, and I think he did pretty well. So Schalke, along with Abadage, who has great micro, great game sense. He just struggles sometimes in making those big plays. I think they might be able to have a chance to compete with Rogue. You might just be able to put them together. But the reason is I think we know Rogue is a little bit more polished, and that's why I keep them separate. Schalke has the ability to be on that same par level with Rogue and take them out of the playoffs and fight for a shot for the championship in the playoffs, even though they don't actually have a shot for the championship. And then we have the final three teams: Excel, Team Vitality, and SK Gaming. SK Gaming got Trick. No one's super hyped about that. Honestly, most of these teams, it's kind of a toss-up. I think SK Gaming is going to be pretty bad. I don't think Trick's very good. Team Vitality, Excel. Excel has some potential. I think they're the best team out of these three. But at the end of the day, there's not much to say about them. They're pretty bad. They're going to need to outperform everybody's expectations to even come close to playoffs in the LEC. It's not like the LCS where, for some reason, the split top 8 teams are going to the playoffs, and they have a massive bracket. The LEC, it's the top 6 teams. Most of them probably shouldn't even sniff close to it. Maybe Excel in a 10% chance, but I wouldn't bet on it. So tried to be a little bit more concise. At the end of the day, G2, Fnatic, Origen will reign supreme. We'll see between the Misfits and Mad Lions who battles it out for 4th, if not possibly a 3rd place, shockingly. My vote is on Mad Lions. Obviously here, I think Kabe is really going to help them round out their team, their teamwork and synergy, especially bouncing back from his team suppression machine split. I'm looking forward to the LEC. Hope you guys are too, and I'll see you in the next video.